Hello, Sara. Thank you so much for joining us today in the second interview of the Let's Talk About Business Collaboration interview series that I've been running for Colabora. So thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you have joined us. And I think whoever that is watching this or listening to the audio afterwards they are gonna get really good value from it, because you are a collaboration advocate, and I'm pretty sure that you have lots of collaboration stories to share with us, and that's what we are here today, just to try and help other businesses out there to see what business collaboration is about and how does that look like in real life. So I'm so glad that you are here with us today. So if you can tell us a little bit more about you, about the BizBuddyHub for those that don't know you, that would be great. And of course, if we can start by understanding what business collaboration means for you, I think that's going to be a great start.
Hi Beatrice, it's lovely to be here, and congratulations on Colabora, and I'm delighted to talk with you today. Wow, what does collaboration mean to me? This is a very interesting thing, and I guess we're still trying to answer that question. But I guess in essence, it really goes back to the 101s of building relationships and trust, and having the ability to do things together that actually benefit the whole. So that would be how I would sum up collaboration.
That sounds really good. And tell us a little bit about the BizBuddyHub, because when you started the BizBuddyHub, you started it, with the intention of embracing collaboration and encouraging local businesses to collaborate and help each other. So I love the work local, live local, collaborate global. I think that's fantastic, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of people watching would like to learn more about what the BizBuddyHub is about and how that fits in within the collaboration, the business collaboration.
Yeah, well, no, it's an interesting story, and I guess it came about from me. I'd had quite a strong background in startups and scale-ups and big business. I had been a migrant. I had worked in corporate Australia. I went through a breast cancer journey a few years ago, and after that, I felt sort of quite strongly that, if I was here for a reason. And I guess it was that journey of trying to find out what that purpose was. And being a very much a doer kind of person, I'm always chasing off and doing things. I had to actually stop doing and just sit on my hands for a bit and really just think about things. And I realized that for me, that there's always been a very strong current of community and local and families all throughout my career and my life. Those are things that had resonated with me. And living where we live in Wyndham, which is the fastest growing area in Australia. It's grown, the local area that I'm in grew from about 11,000 people a decade ago to about 50,000 people. And I sort of naively at the time thought that, jobs and infrastructure would come along with all the housing and all the people in the area. And being in the corporate sort of mindset, I just used to get in my car and, wave at the neighbors and, go off to my job and come home and close the garage door again and not think too much about things. But when I had time to think over my breast cancer journey, I actually realized I didn't know anybody locally. That's, I actually had some really lonely days when I was at home thinking, wow, I don't actually even know anyone in the local area, and yet I've lived here for nearly a decade. So I guess that was a bit of a eye-opener for me, that even I didn't have that sense of belonging in a new area. So, and where it all started from, I was thinking, 70% of our population were going off and having to sort of go to jobs in the city or beyond. That was about 4 hours of their day working. We were seeing the fallout from the manufacturing industry and from the corporate churn, and seeing quite a few people, starting to do something locally, as little micro businesses. And for me, I just started putting all of these little pieces together, and I go, well, how can we build a stronger local economy? How can we get these people off the roads, working together more effectively, build more social cohesion and a sense of belonging? So I guess that's what BizBuddyHub started from, is, how do we do that? So I don't know if I've explained or answered the question, but
yeah, you did. And it is good that you mentioned three main things, I guess, that perfectly tell us more about what business collaboration is about. And for you, is about creating that sense of belonging, the social cohesion, and getting, I guess, creating or putting businesses together to build a strong local economy, so everyone wins, local businesses and the community. So and those are very important aspects, I guess, that we can see in the business collaboration out there as well, like the value of it. And you are talking about that in a more broader, I guess, aspect, because it is about creating communities, based on collaboration. And that's what I love about the BizBuddyHub, because you are getting all the businesses, local businesses together, and at the same time you are solving problems for the community, which is fantastic. And I think that that won't be possible if you were only you trying to go against everything. So I think that's the real power. So just to build on that question, I would really like to know, what makes you embrace collaboration and co-working as a business model or a way of working? Because I think you've touched base on that right now, but I would like you to tell us a little bit more about that, and how collaborating is making this for you possible.
Okay, well, I guess my experience back in another world of when we started and scaled businesses and created quite successful businesses, I learned that, economies of scale and people working together actually created opportunities. And more recent experience working for a startup marketing agency in a co-working space sort of opened my eyes to how we can actually utilize that ethos of collaboration in quite effective ways. I think the corporate world has known how to do this in a business sense for a long time. And they call it mergers and acquisitions and partnerships and, all sorts of things. But really, if you just think about a project, that's exactly what a project is. It's a collaboration. It creates a funnel that creates business coming into a space. It has project managers around it who are good at managing the resources, and it has a whole lot of collaborators. So if you think of it at a very simple level, that is what collaboration is in a business sense. I guess what we've taken it to is that sort of back to the future of work, future of community, and say, well, if the future of work is going to make a lot of us sort of be part of this so-called gig economy and working, being almost independent contractors working on different bits and pieces, we're going to have to know how to collaborate. And if that's the case, then what kind of a community do we want to live in? How do we want to raise our kids? So I've deliberately sort of, taken it back to let's have a vision for how this is going to work. Because I think people are quite, we use words like disruption and, churn and, people getting made redundant and all of these difficult words. I think I choose to reframe that into, well, what do we want it to be? And let's work on building the tools and the framework around that. I don't have I'm not very excited about being disrupted. I'd rather, have a vision for where we want to go and, have a strong voice for that. And the one thing I do know, coming from the corporate world, is that, we don't need to be a corporate. We can be an uncorporate, and we can have a very effective voice as people when we sort of start being more mindful about what it is that we actually want.
Yeah, definitely. And how, I guess that I perfectly understand where you're coming from, because I was fortunate enough to work with you. No, I was very fortunate to to collaborate with you while I was living in Point Cook, and it's fantastic.
And I was fortunate to collaborate with you.
Thank you, and I'm so happy that we are coming together again, trying to deliver the same message for people. And what I've learned throughout this journey, I think, is that people, I think collaboration is still a kept secret, of the best kept secret.
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah, and it's fantastic to be able to help other businesses understand how they can lift each other up and support each other and build communities through collaboration. So I think that for your BizBuddies and the people that work with you, and for their community as well, I guess that having the BizBuddyHub as part of their community, embracing collaboration and encouraging collaboration has created a different way of thinking for them. I would like to know, what is the value, first of all, I would like to know, what does business collaboration mean for the BizBuddies, your associates, your ambassadors, your members, and the community? And also, what is the value that you think working together rather than separate brings to the communities and to the economy? Because you've previously said, that you have a vision, and all you do is because you have that vision towards thinking about where we are going as an economy, as a society. But I would really like to know, from the discussions and conversations you've had with people from the community and your BizBuddies as well, how these collaboration idea behind the BizBuddyHubs resonates with your members and BizBuddies and the community as well.
I think the concept and the philosophy resonates, and I think you've got to understand that people are on very different journeys in their lifetime. For example, me at 30, I was a very different sort of in a very different mindset than where I am at now. So I've been on a journey that's taken me forward. But I guess what we're in the early stages of doing is the leadership around this. And there's lots of collaborations happening within the local community. And I guess what we're doing is we're capturing the energy around that. At a very simple level, it's connecting the right people with the right people so that they can work on things that they're passionate about together. We've got all sorts of things happening at sort of higher levels, talking about implementing a social enterprise hub into Wyndham, talking with corporates about how they might sort of partner with this in terms of being more purpose-driven. And just encouraging the BizBuddies themselves in whatever shape or form to think about collaboration rather than competition with each other, and look at sharing resources, sharing time, sharing their networks, if you like, and looking at synergies that they have rather than seeing each other as competitors. And just moving away from that very transactional, just referral-based type of what we know to be sort of the way it's done, and get out of that competitive mindset into a more collaborative mindset. So, there's lots and lots of examples of it happening. We did a little exercise a little while ago, and we measured joining the dots within our network. And, there was some, quite interesting examples of different things that are happening. So I'm working on some quite high-level collaborations at the moment, and also work daily with, grassroots collaborations and advocacy in terms of different things for the local area as well.
Okay, and from those collaborations that you've been involved with, could you share a bit more about maybe one or two experiences? If it went well, we would like to know, what did you think it make it work? And if it didn't go well, that collaboration, collaborative relationship, I guess, why do you think it didn't go well?
I think in terms of some of the test cases we've done in the local area, our pop-ups at local pop-up co-working days at cafes and different spaces that were not very well utilized, were a good example of getting people into spaces, so using those resources in different ways. I think we've still got a lot of work and a lot of opportunities to create these third spaces. The one learning for me is that we don't necessarily have to go and create new co-working spaces. We should actually just look at existing spaces and make them co-working friendly. So in other words, people are already paying leases. How do we get that third space working more effectively? So any underutilized resources, people have time. It could be as simple as, you have a lawnmower sitting in your garage that doesn't ever get used, and then there's a guy down the road who needs to earn some money, and there's another guy down the road who needs his lawn mowed. To me, that's a collaboration. If we can get those three pieces to work together, that's an effective use of resources, time, and need and energy. Those are, there's lots and lots of great examples of it working. The best examples where you really see it working together is where people come together on a common cause. So they've actually forgotten about themselves. And I think a good example for us was when our local pirate ship burned down. And the community was incredibly passionate about this iconic playground on the top of the hill, but our council wasn't going to replace it because they felt that it was a sort of magnet for bad behavior, and the fact that it was actually burnt down, they were quite concerned about replacing this. But I think their focus was wrong. They were focusing on the bad and not necessarily focusing on the value of that space and how it brought people together and how it had a sense of community pride. So as a community, we came together and collaborated and got that done. The outcome was that ship is back on the hill, and we've even raised some money for, some additional resources there and all sorts of exciting things. And it built relationships between people and a level of trust and that confidence that we can do stuff together. So although it wasn't a business-related thing, it had a very good outcome. And it's actually taught me that, it's having that united vision and that sense of purpose for what you're doing, and not really what's in it for me. That's quite an important piece. Did we fight with each other? Oh, yes, we fought with each other. Were people having a moan about each other behind the scenes? Oh boy, were they? Yeah, absolutely. The one thing I've learned about doing this is that people are still people, and we come in all shapes and sizes, and there's none of us that are perfect, and I'm the first to put up my hand with that. And I guess that can be, the amazing thing about people is we have the capacity for that. The downside about people is that we also have the capacity to, sort of destroy it before it comes out of the box by being a little bit selfish or not, you know, honoring what we say we're going to do. And I think it comes back down to those simple elements of relationships and trust and communication.
Yes, yeah, and it's so interesting because I was interviewing, as I was saying to you offline before we started the interview, I actually interviewed the girls from the Business Experiment podcast yesterday, and that's exactly what they said. Like the main elements for successful collaborations, they also said building relationships, trust, and communication. So it is incredible.
101.
Yes.
And it's kind of life journey, you know, 101s for everybody. You know, you can't have a successful family unless you have that. You can't have a successful husband and wife unless you learn to do that. It doesn't just, it's not magic, you know, it's work. And I think people need to learn that. And, you know, I guess for me, words like networking and marketing, they have some negative connotations because I think people, you know, there's a lot of buzzwords out there and people think you need to go out, you know, being a buzzword and, you know, doing the doing rather than, you know, doing, you know, the common sense approach, which is very values based. And I think if you just sort of let go of all of that stuff and really sort of focus on what it is that you really need and tend to be that person. I find social media amazing. It's like, you know, people get upset and offended with other people, but they don't mind sort of, you know, having a go at other people. Like, you know, where is that thing of treat other people the way, you know, with that respect and same consideration that you'd like to be treated with yourself? And none of us are perfect. So as I say, it's a journey, and you know, being authentic is a good thing. Being authentic doesn't mean just saying whatever comes to mind and, you know, not taking any consequences of that. But being authentic and genuine and, you know, respectful of people is that. And I try very hard to lead by that example.
Yeah, and I you also mentioned, you know, the importance of having a united vision and a sense of purpose when you were talking about the pirate ship, how important that was. And I think that's perfectly transferable to the business collaboration space as well. Like you both, let's just say an example, you both need to be genuinely committed to add value to your customers, and that's when collaborating with other people might resonate with you because you know that you are going to add value to that to those people. And I guess that a united vision will be also related to values, you know, that to share a vision, to share values, because in that way the collaboration will flow, I guess, and there won't be any, or the risks of getting stuck and not seeing the final result coming up because of selfish, you know, a selfish, either party being selfish. Then having that clear, like the values, the sense of purpose, and all that communication and all those factors that we've discussed, then that's what will reduce the risk to get involved in a not or negative collaboration or not as successful collaboration experience. Correct. I don't know how to put it, but
I think it does come back down to that, the values and not breaking trust. And I think, you know, if you go back to relationships, that is what everybody is. So, you know, people have been burnt or they've learned not to trust. And so building trust is a massive investment, and it's something that we all need to be really, really mindful of. And I think it can be as simple as, you know, you're working on a piece of work. If we wanted to take it back to a project, you know, you scope what that piece of work is, you understand what what it's going to take and what the commitments are. And once you've committed, you deliver on it. And if you can't deliver, then you need to be authentic and honest and you know, say so. I think what I've learned about collaboration as well, which is probably quite important, is it's quite a free-flowing thing. People move in and out of it. So what might be a perfect collaboration today might not necessarily be where you are tomorrow or down the track. And I think it's allowing people that room to move and grow and evolve in different ways. And that takes quite a lot of, just depth, I think, and empathy to try and understand that. I'm still learning that this is part of this thing, that we are quite variable in our energy and our commitment levels. People have lots of competing priorities. And sometimes you have more time at different times, and other times you're feeling better. One of the things I'm learning about human beings is that we're not a constant.
Yes.
No,
and so, even more, like, I guess that because the BizBuddyHub works a lot with startups, I think that's the nature of anyone starting a business. You just go out there, start with an idea, and then that idea evolves, and then the reasons why you and I were collaborating on a particular time, then that changes over time because the business idea has been evolving and changing as well. So I get this part of the nature of working with startups.
It's quite organic, and it's interesting because I've come from a very sort of traditional business background where everything's nutted out to the nth degree, and your whole business plan is really clear and concise, and it's got a growth. And this is trying to, really sort of challenges a lot of my old norms, and it sounds quite esoteric. So people look at me funny and go, what does that actually mean? And I'm like, well, we're going back to a more people-focused, values-based way of doing things. We have to sort of take into account that is how it is with people, and we've got to work with that, and we've got to understand that. And I think that's part of the process that we've all got to sort of learn to deal with, but then also give people the guidelines about, what's their sense of responsibility in making it work.
Definitely. And also that it is important to highlight, I guess, for those that are going to be listening and watching, that there are different types of business collaborations as well. Like, there might be those that are very informal, just, to unite forces to do something in particular. So I am doing something for you and you do something for me, and that all goes to the same, I guess, goal, or benefit the same people. And then there might be others that might be a little bit more formal, where currency or money is involved, but not all business collaborations have to be about money. So from that, what would be, if you could share with us one example of business collaboration in which currency or money is not required, something that you probably have seen within the BizBuddyHub. And on the other side, also share with us if you've had any experience sharing profit as part of a collaboration agreement, so people can see both cases, both scenarios.
Yeah. I think going back to collaborations, my experience of, effective business collaborations would probably be classed as projects or campaigns where different people have worked on. And this is the sort of model I want to bring to the hub as we evolve and we get these strong verticals, is that you need certain associates and people who have skills in creating the funnel of work, in our example, into the local economy, with tendering for big pieces of work. And then bringing that to a level where there's project managers who can get the right skills and collaborators working and doing that. So you know, there's lots of examples that I've seen that happen in the real world, and
like,
I would class those as collaborations. I think what we need to do is do it better as the uncorporate, and have, you know, that model of, you know, those sort of people in the area who work with those different verticals of work. A good example for me in the corporate world is in the big cities. You have the big 5 accounting firms, and they go out and they create a massive funnel of work, and then within that they have all of those levels of projects and collaborations and all sorts of people that they bring into the mix, and nobody sees that, you know, but that's what they actually do. What's interesting to me is the same people who've worked in those models decide they don't want to work in the city anymore, and those same accountants will come into the local level and set up their shingle and then start doing people's tax returns. I'm like, you've worked in this model, you know how it works, and now you see every other accountant as competing with you for, you know, like really small, you know, micro amounts of money that are in the local economy. So it's my, you know, vision to see those people working smarter. And I guess that's what we're pushing for, is to get those people sort of collectively, you know, using their collective nous to do what they did in a different world.
okay.
And
so it will be more like the kind of not informal, but maybe those collaborations where money or sharing profit might not be part of the equation. You have seen it very often when people come together to trade skills or their time and those kind of things, right?
And it happens all the time. I mean, a really good example is Baker's Delight and the Breast Cancer Foundation. Now, Breast Cancer Foundation is actually based at Baker's Delight's offices. They do collaborations and campaigns, but as far as I know, Baker's Delight has space there because there's space for them to do it. So that's a collaboration. Those are the sorts of things that we could do at a local level. If somebody has space, they could get different benefits from the people within that space that are not necessarily based on a financial transaction. So the one person trades in space, the other one maybe trades in doing some marketing for that business, or, you know, doing different things. Maybe they just answer the telephones for that business because, you know, and take orders. You know, I'm just thinking very broadly across that, and those sort of things are starting to happen. You know, I call it the sort of oranges and lemons kind of economy. You know, I've got potatoes and you've got carrots. You know, let's just trade, and, you know, I've got a surplus of this and you've got a surplus of that.
And that doesn't mean that that's going to be going on forever. That might be just a good way to build that relationship, to build that trust.
Correct.
For to then, in the future, near or far, you know, to come together and do something, you know, that might involve currency as part of the equation. But when you start collaborating, you know, even if it doesn't involve any kind of currency in between, that just can be the really good start of a relationship, and to start building trust as well with each other, which is fantastic because that's a win-win situation.
Exactly, and I think that's a really good summary of that. It has to be win-win. There can't be winners and losers. There has to be a win-win, that both sides is feeling like it's a really great relationship. Like, that's how it should be.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess that comes again to sharing values, and having a sense of purpose, having an open communication. That all plays a very important role when you know, identifying that win-win situation, and then potentially that collaboration opportunity as well. So that's that all comes to the game, I guess, when you are.
Yes, absolutely.
That's good. And What were you, and in terms of those more formal collaborations, have you been involved in any kind of more formal collaboration when you've collaborating or partnering with another business and share profit? Have you been involved in any of those collaborations?
I have, and I am definitely in the different worlds and the different jobs that I've had. We've done that. What we're doing with BizBuddyHub is a lot of stuff that we're creating a funnel for into Wyndham, and looking at scaling across the other outer metro areas in particular. That's going to be a model of ambassadors and associates, and that will definitely be a sharing model. The way I sort of look at the BizBuddyHub model in particular is that, we're creating a framework around this and the toolkit and the connectors between the different things. But what I want to see is that the profits actually go back to those communities. So the people who work within it make a living from it, and the profit actually helps to build that social cohesion in that community. So that is the vision for how this will evolve.
Interesting. And what are
I get a little bit frustrated with sort of, when people are talking about the Ubers of and whatever. At the end of the day, if you're just disrupting taxi drivers to give other people taxi driver jobs, but then you're sort of taking all the profits up at a vertical level. I don't think those are the models for the future. I think models that actually benefit communities and grow the community and create sustainable outcomes for everyone, where everyone's invested. And I think there's a lot of examples of that in the world. The cooperative models work on a very similar sort of modeling. Blockchain is definitely about how that's done. We're still in the very early stages. We're still very much a startup and just starting to grow some feathers on our wings. And there will be lots of testing and learning that as we go. But I think there's enough like-minded people around to invest in how this all comes together.
And would you have one or two things that you will share with people that they might need to keep in mind when they get involved in this type of collaborations? What are the 2 or 3 things that you would recommend people to definitely look at when they get involved in this kind of collaborations, business collaborations?
I think about synergies and don't worry so much about competition. I think we've all been sort of, if I look at the journey, people are very worried about competition taking something away. Try and reframe that mindset and think about what opportunities and synergies they might possibly be, and maybe just have a relook at who you actually you are calling your competition, and maybe have a rethink about that. Again, have a look at how big business actually grows and think about how that can be applied in different ways if you take some of those strategies. And just have confidence to go out and think a little bit differently. Find like-minded people. There's a certain serendipity to where the world's going. I think the world is in a state of flux at the moment, and we can see a lot of chaotic things and quite strange things happening. Give yourself permission to just see through that and think more about what you would like to see in the world and focus on that. I think reframe those things that give you anxieties and say, well, if you had a fairy godmother or a magic wand, what would you like to see different in the world? And then be the change you want to see.
I love that. I love that because I'm a a very strong advocate of that. I think that the change starts from you, and if you want to see different results, you just need to do something different as well. So that's fantastic to find other people that share that vision as well, and to help each other to get that message across, because I think that we are part of a new way of working, a new way of looking after customers, a new way to adding value to our communities and the world in general. So it is fantastic to have people like you as well to share this journey. And then, Sara, I would like to ask you if you could summarize the top 3 benefits of business collaborations for startups and small businesses. What would you say they are?
A sense of being in it together. You do need a support network, and I think what this is about is building a very strong peer support. People who you can talk to and you can sort of share your dark moments with, as well as your successes. Sharing resources, with, you know, time, space, skills. We have them and we have shortages of them. You know, sometimes, you know, think a little bit differently about the bread and butter issue. You know, sometimes we think we need to earn X and Y to be successful and happy. Sometimes taking some of those things away that you don't need in your life are actually sometimes more beneficial than having more things in your life. Living simpler, you know, not having, you know, maybe not having the monetary worries that people tend to put on themselves. I think there's a big hype around we're supposed to have bigger houses and bigger cars and lots of TVs and lots of stuff and lots of debt. I always say to people is sort of give yourself a financial audit, you know, before you start something, and just make sure you're nice and lean and mean. In my example with my husband, this came at a good time because we were about to be empty nesters. So suddenly, you know, we didn't have the same sort of expenses of, you know, running a big family home. The fact that I've kind of turned my home into my business and it sort of has BizBuddies coming and going all the time. I'm very lucky that I have a husband who's, you know, very supportive of what I do. Kids not so much. They don't like coming home when there's a house full of BizBuddies. But, you know, I've just tried to be, you know, think really, you know, well, what expenses don't I need to have in my life? You know, what can we do without? And really focus on what we want to bring more of into our lives rather than more stuff. So doing a financial audit and making yourself as risk-free as possible is probably a good way to start. You know, any small business is a risk, so the more support you have, the more you can share resources, and the more, you know, you're not going to sort of put yourself in financial peril, I think is really, really important.
That's an interesting one. So when you come together and share resources, skills, time, that definitely reduces the risk for startups in so many ways. And you can, you know, get out there and find someone that might be doing something similar to what you've been doing, but just being a bit ahead of you, so that will save you time. And at the end of the day, people that are, you know, a little bit ahead, they will, if they have that collaborative mindset, they will pay it forward, and then when you get where you want to be, then you will pay it forward, and that's the cycle, I guess, that we want to create at the end of the day.
Exactly, and pay it forward is such a lovely concept. You know, if you've got that giving mindset rather than a taking mindset, you know, everybody has something to give. And I think that's a really, I kind of wish that was taught in schools, to be honest. And, you know, we were just, you know, I think philosophically we all know this to be true. but just to allow yourself to be open and trusting of the universe, that you're not going to get taken advantage of. And doesn't mean you have to be silly. You don't have to give things that are not warranted or not deserved, but it's just a really nice place to live in your heart, where you're open to things, rather than worried that someone's going to take something from you.
Yeah, and we always have something to offer. So it's just a matter of finding who needs what we can offer, in
That's
terms
right.
of skills or knowledge or experience or whatever, and then finding that person that will be willing to also give back. So that's I guess the art of business collaboration as well. But
I think it's a really interesting place, because when you're in this mindset, I think it sort of attracts like for like.
Yes.
And I have been so blessed with the amazing people it's brought into my life. I mean, just to sort of recap on a situation where I felt so, alone at one point, even though I'd lived in the local area. It's kind of bizarre, because I find that I'm now so connected that it's just ridiculous. I jump, I'm wherever I go, there's interesting people doing interesting, amazing things, and I know them, and I'm so proud to be part of this community. So just on a feel-good level, it's good for you. It's really, really good for your heart and your soul and your mindset to be part of something that's open and giving. Definitely. And that sense of belonging is massive. Even for me, I'm tremendously grateful for having found this path, and it's an exciting time, I reckon.
Yeah, it is. And it's good to have people around us to share that mindset, and also to share this journey and the learnings along the journey as well. Excellent.
No,
and
absolutely.
Just to wrap up and just pick your brain for something else, what will be your best piece of advice for those small businesses or startups looking to work in collaboration?
I guess it's really good to look for people like yourself, and start getting out there and saying what it is that you're wanting to do or thinking about doing. Try and find the people in your local area or online who are like yourself. I actually started by just getting involved with people who are doing stuff in the community, but I didn't sort of come at it from a startup point of view. I started it from a connecting point of view. So just start where you are and find those connections, and don't be afraid to sort of put it out there, what you're looking for and why you're looking for it. And if your heart is open and you're willing to sort of pay it forward, like you say, I think you'll find that it naturally comes. It's like a magnet. It's sort of, the more you give out, the more it comes back. Yes. And think of it like joining the dots, because that kind of has been what it has been for me. And it's just all these amazing dots of beautiful energy and beautiful people that it attracts into your world.
Definitely.
I don't know if that makes sense, but I was just trying to sort of think about how I started, and that was, just take the first step. Don't be shy.
Yeah, and I guess that it all comes to be authentic, be you, and be open and share what you want to achieve, and you will be magnetic.
Yeah, the best advice I can give anyone is forget about your elevator pitch, forget about the word networking, forget about marketing yourself. Just be yourself and be genuine, and be out there, and you will attract like for like.
I love it. I love that, Sara. Thank you very much. But tell us where people can find you, where can they find the BizBuddies, and how they can connect with you, and even if they are thinking of ways of collaborating, where do they go to get in contact with you?
A great way to get in contact with us is we've got a collaboration. It's called the BizBuddyHub collaboration group on Facebook. And that's free, and it has a very clear ethos of what it's about, and it's a very sharing environment. So that's a great way to get started. If you're in the local area, absolutely get in touch. There's lots of our Facebook page or our BizBuddyHub website. Easy to find what's going on and what we're all about, and to connect with us. If you're in different areas and you're interested in the concept and how you might want to do that in your local area, we are looking for ambassadors and associates in different outer areas who've got the same sort of value and ethos to scale it. The platform has been built to actually connect all of that together at a different way, so that will come in time. So if anybody's interested in doing that, we'd love to have the conversations. It's big enough for everyone. Live local, work local, shop local, but collaborate global. That's what we want to do, is connect it all up, and to see really strong, vibrant local economies.
That's awesome. And you have two new features coming up soon within the BizBuddyHub platform, the marketplace and the collaborate.
Yeah.
So will you briefly share with people what that's all about?
So the platform has been built to sort of give everybody their own sort of website within the platform, if you like, and it's got e-commerce tools. And the e-commerce has been set up so people can already utilize that. But whether they're a group or they've got products or whatever anybody is, if they've got bookable products or rentable products, or they have services, that they can use that. But as the marketplace grows, what we'll actually do is turn on the marketplace function, which means that people can actually find those by whatever product it is. So if you think of Etsy or eBay, you tend to go on there and search for the product rather than for the person. And that's what our system does. It actually will allow you to sort of actually have your products and services or spaces or whatever it is within the marketplace and be found by location. And the collaboration tool is pretty exciting, because this is sort of like the member-to-member space for everything that happens. So if you think about your different interest groups or help groups or just general sort of conversation groups, it's kind of like Facebook but for collaboration. So it gets rid of all of that sort of noise around Facebook, and it has those sort of very nice features. But what it also lets you do, besides set up your catch-ups and your events and have your conversations, is it actually allows you to do projects with different people. So you can add in and create these little private project groups where you're actually collaborating and sharing files and tasks and in a really, really simple way. So it gets rid of all the email and gets rid of all the crap and all the different 101 different tools that we're all having to use, and it keeps it in one sort of nice tight way. I built it around my frustration of trying to use so many different things in different ways. So why does nothing ever talk to each other? So yeah, I'm really excited to be able to turn that on soon. And as more people come on and the marketplace starts to take shape, we see all different verticals for that. But what we really want to see is that you can find everything local. But beyond that, you can actually find, if you're going into a local area, you'll find what you are used to finding in your local area in the other local areas as well. So
that's fantastic. That sounds very exciting. I'm really looking forward to see that working. It's going to be really good.
It's kind of fun.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So we just need to wait and see.
Excited. Yeah, this year we're also planning the very first sort of local business expo. So, trying to get all kinds of businesses, big and small, to do a physical business expo, which will be a big annual event in our local area. And I know some municipalities do that quite well, and some are wanting, but we want to showcase all the lovely talent that is in the local area and get people working and finding each other physically, but then continue that in the virtual space as well.
Awesome. That sounds excellent. And yeah, really looking forward to seeing that live on the website. Is going to be exciting to see all the things that can be done. And who knows, maybe
And that's another whole collaboration of itself.
Yeah, correct. That has been awesome speaking with you today, Sara. I think you have lots of experience with collaboration that was great that you share with us, and I am sure that the people that are watching and listening are going to get really good insights and detailed information about how business collaboration looks like in real life and all the benefits of building communities through collaboration. So I'm so happy that you made the time to speak with us, and yeah, I'm just really looking forward to see what else we can do together.
All right, my darling.
Thank you so much.